Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Tom Spark. Welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be talking about what are the top 5 fastest VPNs. Now guys, don't just trust my word on it. This is like community made speed testing that I've done here on the channel. Now in the past I've just kind of done these tests myself on my own computer, but I decided to go a step further. I decided to hand make a website using a remote server with Docker containers, running VPNs on Linux 24/7, and people are testing these speeds all around the world. That said, the VPNs are all testing in the East Coast of the United States just to get a homogeneous testing result that is more reliable and more data driven to show the VPN's various capabilities compared objectively. So we went ahead and did this. Right now, there's around 511 tests done, which means this is probably the most accurate speed test result given from anyone ever in the world. I don't think anyone's ever done this many speed tests because you guys have helped me run them, and all the data is available on the website. We've also done tons of updates to this platform, as you can see in here, and we've done multiple blog posts outlining our journey and exactly how we made this and the difficulties we came across. But in this video, we're more like focusing on what are the top 5 results so far. So we've done around 7 VPNs tested, and these are most of the big VPNs. We didn't include that many VPNs that are no longer updated that often anymore, like TorGuard. We also didn't include some of the other VPNs we just haven't seen that many good speed results with in the past. We just kind of tested the biggest and best names out there. So what are the top 5? Well, we only tested 7. But honestly, I picked the best ones out there. So let's go ahead and focus on the best performers. So first up is going to be NordVPN. Now guys, I will be putting links for all these VPNs in the description down below. However, this video is not sponsored by any of these VPNs. I'm only an affiliate, which means if you click on my links, you'll get discounts and extra months, but I'm not going to get any money flat out. It's just if you guys want to help support the channel, I'll get a small cutback if you click on those links. And like I said, you will get an extra discount and free months as well. But again, if you don't want to help support the channel, this video is not sponsored or paid by any of these VPNs. To be quite frank with you, this channel is too small. We're too independently run and stuff like that to not be bought out. You can look at the other channels if you want on YouTube. They're all bought out and invested from the other VPNs. They actually own most of the other channels, not this one. So let's go ahead and talk about that. So what's the number 1 results? Well, so far it's Nord. Nord is a huge VPN. In my results, it's always the fastest, but here set up with this objective infrastructure, it's also the fastest. As you can see, it's around 30 megabits per second faster than ExpressVPN. Now, all these are kind of capped because I'm running them on a Linux server, but we could kind of multiply the results to kind of get what you would expect from maybe a gig connection. So NordVPN, at least in my test, hardly impacts speeds at all, less than 5% speed degradation, and it's getting good results over even Express, which is also a very fast VPN. I would say it's probably 10% faster than ExpressVPN. And the next after ExpressVPN is probably Proton, which we did see a significant decrease in speeds, which lines up to my testing. In my testing, actually, Surfshark does pretty well. It's usually right behind Nord. But in this more objective, kind of verifiable testing, Express is actually number 2. So Nord is getting 297, which is very good. From the top 5 rankings here, it's just always performing very well. And we could even do a test right here just to show you the good results here. So really the fastest we've ever gotten is around 373. This is the fastest. It's beat all the other VPNs, and we can kind of see what it will get right now. I have been updating the website this morning, and there you go, 222. So it's not getting the near record breaking thing it did 5 days ago, but still very solid speed test results. And like I said, guys, this does not include max capability. This is just running on my server, but it is still representative. We could kind of multiply all these by the same factor, maybe 2 or 3 times, if you're kind of just testing one VPN at a time. So NordVPN is very good. It's the fastest one of my tests. They have a huge server network. Like I said, if you click on my link in the description down below, you should be able to get this deal. You get 4 extra months. Right now, they're also giving away Amazon gift cards, which is pretty crazy. So check out that if you guys are interested in the fastest. I would say Nord is probably the fastest VPN in my tests and on this website I made. Next up is going to be ExpressVPN. Now, ExpressVPN is also extremely fast. It's only around 10% less fast than Nord, and that's probably honestly something you won't even notice. Now, Express isn't rated quite as high on my tier list just for a variety of different reasons. But that said, honestly, I do like ExpressVPN nowadays. I think I'm kind of warming up to it a little bit better. Some of their deals aren't half bad. It's maybe a little bit cheaper. They've kind of changed this pricing system around quite a bit lately. They have this interesting VIP package, which you can even get a dedicated IP and all sorts of interesting bundles. So that is pretty nice. I do think out of all the products that this brand operates, like private internet access and CyberGhost, it seems like ExpressVPN is getting the most attention. So if you're not someone who likes NordVPN, you don't want to use Nord or Surfshark. Surfshark and NordVPN are also owned by the same kind of company, basically. They're like sister companies. If you're looking for probably the best speeds outside of those products, I would go with ExpressVPN. And like I said, with my link, you also get some extra months free as well as a discount. So check that out. I'll put a link in the description down below for Express as well. Next up is Proton. Now, Proton isn't getting as quite of good speeds compared to the other options. Definitely maybe a 20 to 30% decrease in speeds. And that's something I've kind of noticed over the years. Just isn't quite as fast. But that said, Proton is still an excellent VPN. It's a little higher rated, I actually do believe, on my website than Express, just slightly. It is still behind NordVPN, Surfshark, and Hide.me, but it is performing very well in terms of speeds. It's kind of a little bit faster than Hide.me, even though it's a little bit lower rated, but still a very good option. So if you want to check out Proton, check that out in the link in the description down below. They also have some deals going on right now. But we did notice it's a little bit slower than these other options. So it's the number 3 rated one. Proton is pretty good. Next up, we have Hide.me. Now, Hide.me is actually doing pretty good. I've been kind of harsh on it in terms of its kind of speed results, just because on my connections, it doesn't always do the best. But that said, it's actually competing very well with something like Proton. So the fact that it's a smaller VPN and it can compete with such a big VPN, that is pretty impressive. Additionally, it's also much more affordable than Proton. You can get 3 years for the price of like 2 years with Proton. So definitely very solid. Check out Hide.me. I'll put a link for that in the description down below as well. You should be able to get 3 free months with my link. So yeah, Hide.me is the 4th fastest. And this stuff, like I said, Proton usually is pretty fast. I was kind of surprised it wasn't kind of more competitive with Nord. But I am kind of surprised it's passing Surfshark, and that Surfshark is our 4th fastest. So yeah, Surfshark is doing pretty good. I kind of expected it to do better here. In my personal test, it's maybe like number 2, but on these more objective tests, it's rated probably number 5. So yeah, Surfshark is still a very good option. I don't know if I'd recommend it for speeds right now in terms of how these tests have run, but you also have to keep in mind that these tests are all done on Linux servers. I do think it's important that VPNs do run well on Linux, and if you can't test well for speeds on Linux, that's kind of a bad sign. And it could be indicative of Surfshark not doing as much Linux compatibility. That said, they do have a Linux GUI, so that is nice, but this video specifically, these tests right here, these objective performance tests, they're all run on Linux in Docker containers, so some of the performance can be influenced from that. But given that, be that as it may, if a VPN can perform well in a small Docker container on one of my servers and max out those speeds, that's a very good sign for overall performance and compatibility across the board. So ExpressVPN specifically impressed me because even with very limited resources, it was actually performing better than some of the other options. I did figure out a better API to kind of test these VPNs and kind of turn some offline and disable some others. And Express is a very solid VPN for very high performance with limited space. I did get NordVPN kind of passing it, although once I fixed some kind of too many VPNs running at once, Nord was able to pass it. So if you're not running these VPNs in small Linux areas, then Nord is going to be faster than Express. But if you are running on a very limited environment, maybe low speeds, not as powerful hardware, Express's lightweight protocol is actually very strong and will pass Nord. So that's something to think about. But yeah, Surfshark is doing okay down there. I didn't get as good of results with WinScriber or Molvad. I just couldn't really get them to perform the same as some of these other options out there, which is kind of in line with what I've noticed in the past. They're just smaller VPNs with smaller infrastructures. They're still fine. They just also don't seem to have as good a Linux compatibility. That's why the containers are offline. Proton also doesn't have the best Linux compatibility. If you're running it on Linux with just one VPN, it probably will work fine. But I've really had some compatibility issues running on it on Docker. And that's something to think about as well. So guys, those are my 5 fastest VPNs. I would definitely say Nord, Express, and Proton are very solid and probably the biggest infrastructure and fastest VPNs right now, which lines up with my personal testing and some testing I've seen around the internet as well. But this is the objective testing. We're independently run here. So if you like that, like, comment, subscribe, check out some of the links. I'll be putting links for all these in the description down below if you want to help support objective tests like these. And I'll see you in the next video very soon.